NBA legend Jerry West seems invincible. He's a gold medalist, a 14-time NBA All-Star, and believed to be the inspiration for the long-standing NBA logo. But for years, he's worked closely with his doctors to control a heart condition that affects millions of Americans, Afib. So I am happy to have Jerry joining me this morning, along with cardiologist Dr. James A. Rafel. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with me.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk sports quickly because, Jerry, I'm actually a Cleveland-born and raised girl that you are talking to here. You are on the board for the Golden State Warriors. So how were the last two NBA Finals from your perspective?
Well, a year ago it was great. This year I don't want to start crying on the air, but you might make me do that. You know, Cleveland really showed great heart to come back from a 3-1 deficit. It's a tribute to their players, the dedication their players have, and also to the quality of team they had. To win 73 games last year, a record, and not really being able to complete the season with one more win. It was disappointing, but my hat's off to Cleveland and off to another challenge this year.
That's exactly right. Always have to look at that side. And we, it took a while for us to get there, just a little while. So, we're happy with that. So we will talk a little bit about what you're here to talk about today, Afib, what you're dealing with. So, Dr. Rafel, I want you to start by giving us kind of an overview of what Afib is for those who aren't familiar with it.
Sure. Atrial fibrillation, called Afib, is the most common sustained serious heart rhythm disturbance that we have. It makes the heart go irregularly and rapidly. And most importantly, in the smaller chambers of the heart, the atria, blood clots can form during atrial fibrillation. And if those break loose and travel through the bloodstream to the brain, they can cause a stroke. And I don't know anyone who would like to have a stroke. And importantly, strokes from atrial fibrillation are large, more apt to be devastating, more apt to be debilitating, and 1 in 5 will die. And the message here today is to be sure that atrial fibrillation is recognized if you have symptoms. If you're symptomatic, see your doctor. Those symptoms are nonspecific. They can be fatigue or dizziness or shortness of breath, or you can be at risk because you have conditions associated with atrial fibrillation, like high blood pressure or diabetes. So any of those concerns, see your doctor. And if he or she says you need a blood thinner, take it.
So, Jerry, when were you first diagnosed, and how have you been managing this disease?
I was diagnosed in my early to mid-50s, and as I say, I think being an athlete, you learn what your body is, you learn how it works. You know when you don't feel good, you know when you do feel good. So you have a sense when something's wrong. I went to visit my doctor, and he told me I had Afib. The first question I asked him, what is Afib? He told me it was an irregular heartbeat, but the thing that he pointed out to me, it's very dangerous for stroke. I do not want to have a stroke. I'm an A-type personality. I cannot live my life being confined to a wheelchair. I cannot live my life not being able to be physical. I like to work out. I like to lift weights. I like to play golf. I love to read. And when he mentioned that word stroke, I know how devastating I would be, my family would be if that would happen. So I started taking warfarin, and now I've made a choice to change. These new drugs that we have today that are safer, I think, to take than warfarin. They're easier to take. I don't have to worry about dietary things as I did with warfarin. I also don't have to go to the doctor to have my blood level changed. And so I would tell you, if people really want to know more about my life story, myafibchoice.com will tell you about my struggles and, more importantly, what I'm doing. This is very, very important for active people. It's very important for people who are not active.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for bringing all that to us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.